A very pleasant, happy Easter to everybody out there, wherever you all may be. Welcome to a new episode of Batter Up alongside Ben Curse. I'm Lauro Antonio. Isaiah Leung will be joining us in just a moment here, and Taylor Sean is off today. We'll see him again next Sunday. So, Ben, how's it going tonight, my friend? And you enjoyed Boston this weekend, and talk about your experiences there when we talk about our report card of our teams here. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Lauro. Hope you had a good holiday today and Easter. Hopefully, for all those joined, that they for those that celebrate, they celebrate Passover. Happy Passover to those that celebrate. Yeah, I definitely had a great time in the City of Champs in Boston on Friday. For those that didn't know, I got the chance to go to the home opener for the Red Sox, and got to go with my brother, and really fun day. Obviously the result wasn't what I expected, but disappointed regardless. It was a great day, fun day, and one of many games I plan to go to at Fenway this year. It was a crazy weekend in the city of Boston. You had the marathon going on, which is going to be tomorrow. The Celtics had an incredible win today, which I'm still in great spirits from today. Glad that I still have a voice on here, Floro, after the way I let out a big scream after that win today, which is great. Red Sox got a couple wins here, so really all things great. Bruins clinched a playoff spot for hockey, so all really is well right now in the city of Boston for a lot of my teams. So can't really complain, and hopefully the Red Sox have a good 11 a.m. marathon win tomorrow, and we'll see how things go from there. But can't say I can't complain about this weekend, and really enjoyed my time in Boston for sure.
Yeah, it was. Anyways, let's go to our team report cards here. I'll start with the Dodgers here. So the Dodgers just came off a 4-game sweep of the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, they've won 6 in a row, and I'll tell you that this week for the Dodgers, it's been great. I mean, they swept the Twins in a 2-game series, then they swept the Reds in a 4-game series, and I couldn't ask for a better weekend of Dodger baseball here. And if you look at the standings now, the Dodgers and Giants are both 7-2 and now are tied at first place in the National League West. Colorado is 6-3. They're fading a bit. San Diego could be moving upward here. And Arizona, as usual, is in last place with 3-6. What's coming up for the Dodgers this week is that they're taking on the Atlanta Braves for a 3-game series. Freddie Freeman against his old team. I can't wait for that. I mean, it's not going to be in Atlanta, though, but Freddie Freeman's going to play against his former team at Dodger Stadium, but it'll be the return of Kenley Jansen. Looking forward to that as well, but I also look forward to when Freddie Freeman makes his Atlanta return on June 24th, 25th, and 26th, and I think that the Dodgers are on the right track here. I mean, winning 6 in a row is good. Haven't lost since the Rocky series, and I think that this is a really good start for the Dodgers, and I think that let's keep the train rolling heading into the Brave series before heading into our off day and before heading into the San Diego series next weekend, which I think is going to be a fun series. But I think it would be more fun if they had Fernando Tatis Jr. in there as well. And want to welcome Isaiah Leong here. Isaiah, welcome. And first, let's start with your team report card. Let's talk about your Phillies and A's, since I kind of already gave out mine with the Dodgers.
Well, first of all, guys, happy Easter to all of you guys and all the fans that are watching today. Hope all of you guys had a wonderful Easter Sunday. You know, let's start with the A's, all right? I think right now the A's are probably one of the biggest surprises in all of baseball, because when you look at their season, especially to start the season, you looked at the gauntlet that was Philadelphia in Philly, at Tampa Bay for 4, and then at Toronto. And with the A's team that was minus Matt Chapman, minus Matt Olson, minus Chris Bassett, minus all the guys that they had traded away before the season, you looked at it and you thought that, oh, okay, the A's are probably going to go like maybe 1-9 in that 10-game stretch, or that 2-8, or even like 4-6 at best. But for them to be 5-5 after this 10-game stretch and winning a 4-game series against the Rays in Tampa, which is a very tough place to play. I know they lost to Toronto, and I know they lost the series to Philadelphia, but for them to be 5-5 after this opening 10-game series, it's just magnificent. And they've been like in all those games except probably the game to start the season. But it's just been so much fun to watch this team. The young pitchers that a lot of people didn't really know who they were before the season have really stepped up and come to play. The batters for the A's, you look at Christian Pache, who has been a really electrifying force for the A's, both offensively and defensively. He is really fun to watch. Sean Murphy, he's finally starting to come alive. He's the guy that expected to provide the power for the A's, and he hit 2 home runs during this 10-game road trip to start the season for the A's. And I think now he's hitting like 270 or something like that, and he's got the team leading 8 RBI. So I think for the A's, this week in particular, very impressive stuff to win 3 out of 4 in Tampa. Dalton Jeffries was decent. Aller was, he's got stuff to work on, but Frankie Montas was, he lived up to the billing of the ace that he is supposed to be for the A's. And then you look at the offense, not trying all the time to just hit home runs, but stringing together hits, stealing bases, doing the little things. And it's something that I've been wanting the A's to do for like the past couple of years, but they just haven't done it. But now looking at this team without the power that they had with Olsen and Chapman and all those other guys, it's forcing them to play small ball, and you're seeing it bear fruit. And the A's, very impressive stuff. And they got Baltimore, I believe, for 4 games, which I'm going to be working starting tomorrow at the Coliseum, which should be so much fun. And I think the A's honestly could take 3 out of 4 from Baltimore, because Baltimore is not really that good. They're like the A's. You got a lot of young talent. You have some veterans, but they're a team that's not projected to be very good. Plus, you're at home, and you got Frankie Montas on the mound to start the series tomorrow. So I think the A's, they got 4 against Baltimore, and I believe they have 3 against Texas before going to San Francisco next week. I think the A's, if they could just continue to play 500 baseball, I would be really satisfied with that, because this team was supposed to lose at least 100 games this season. And for the Phillies, I honestly don't even want to talk about the Phillies, because I'm just so disgusted with the Phillies right now, because for some reason, like every time they play the Marlins, no matter how many superstars the Phillies have on their team and how many no-namers the Marlins have on their team, the Phillies just make the Marlins look like the 1990s New York Yankees. I mean, I honestly don't know or any of these guys besides probably Jorge Soler on the Marlins. And the Marlins just keep clobbering the Phillies every time they play. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The Phillies, like, I think, we're going to talk about Girardi towards the end of the show, but I think that, they're 4-6 and they got beat up pretty bad against the Mets. But the Marlins one was the one that really causes you to worry, because if you're a Phillies fan, the offense is not hitting. The offense is supposed to be the main strength of this baseball team. They're not hitting. So they're not hitting. The pitching, it's not that strong. The bullpen, it's not that strong. So if the offense is not hitting, you're basically in a big hole to start the game. So just really disappointed with the Phillies, because it seems like everybody in that lineup from 1 through 9, except maybe Castellanos, is just slumping right now. And, I know they're going to turn it around, but there is cause for concern, because these teams like the Marlins and all these other bad teams, you're supposed to be beating up on them, not them beating up on you. And for the Phillies, it's just the exact opposite. And Philadelphia cannot afford to fall deeper and deeper and deeper in this division, because if they do, with how good of a division this is projected to be with the Braves and the Mets and even the Nationals, Philadelphia, if they dig themselves too big of a hole, they probably won't even recover by the time the All-Star break hits.
Anyways, Isaiah, I think that the Phillies, they'll be fine in a way. I just think that they just need to pick it up more offensively here. And Ben, I'll go to you next. What is your report card on the Red Sox? And talk about them in this 4-game set against the Twins. Byron Buxton out for at least a week. I don't know if you saw that play. That looked pretty nasty, but he avoided a serious knee injury. And I said many times that you got to keep Byron Buxton on the field if you're a Twins fan. And if I were the Twins and if I were Buxton, you have to stay healthy so that the Twins are a better ball club with Byron Buxton in your lineup. I don't know how you felt about seeing that injury and all that, but tell us your thoughts on the Red Sox and Twins series.
Yeah, well, just like to say hello to Isaiah. For as always, hope you, Isaiah, had a great holiday. But in terms of the Red Sox series from this week, Red Sox actually did pretty decent as a whole this week. As it figures as of right now, the game this weekend that they've lost is the game I was at on Friday for the home opener. But I was telling Laura, Isaiah, that it was an amazing day. Just being back at the park. City's been vibing because they had the Celtics today. Yeah, crazy win. You have the Bruins that clinched a playoff spot for the hockey playoffs. You have the marathon that's tomorrow, and I essentially was in a hotel filled with marathon racers for this weekend. So it was for sure the place to be. The city of Boston wouldn't want any other way. A couple other games too on Saturday and today. Red Sox have done a pretty good job. Now they're 5-4. After the 1-3 start to start Monday, they had a pretty sluggish game against Detroit, and then they took 2 out of 3 to win that series. And then the Friday game was just the game I was at. Just came down to really bad pitching, a lot of early walks and counts. The Byron Buxton injury, I did see Laura in person. It was funny enough that there was actually a couple Twins fans in front of me that were wearing Buxton shirts, and they were pretty devastated. They were in shock. Just kind of told them, listen, the dude is an absolute special player. When he's out there on the field, I actually had him for potential AL MVP this year, just because I think he just has a full-on package. But it's just he just can never stay healthy. The Twins had a pitcher who pitched well on Friday. The game was at Joe Ryan. He came from the Tampa Bay system. So it was 6-1. The first play of the game, Alex Verdugo and Xander Bogaerts as a pop-up, fell right in on a pop-up essentially, and then things kind of fell from there. I did get to see Alex Verdugo hit a homer, Laura, which I was thinking about you after the fact. And Kike also had a RBI double in the game too. So But really outside of that, it was 6-1. The Red Sox did cut it to a 2-run game in the 8th inning when Rafael Devers hit a 2-run home run. So overall, the crowd was kind of dead a lot of the game because there really wasn't much to cheer about. Brandon said, props to your Red Sox. The jersey got to go. Hey, man, personally for me, I do like them, but that's a little biased to me. I can definitely feel that in a way that a lot of people don't like the yellow jerseys. But I personally think that we just do play so well with the yellow jerseys on, so like I can't really also complain about those either. But I definitely can see your point on that. But in terms of the Twins series too, Twins have a really good ball club offensively, defensively. The last couple of games here on Saturday, Tanner Houck pitched a much better game than he did in his first start. He went about 4 or 5 innings, and then they went on to go a couple guys. And then how about Garrett Whitlock? Essentially the back end best pitcher we have on this baseball club. 3-4 inning saves the last several times out just because he's extremely consistent, probably the most consistent out of the whole pen. But the Red Sox had to find some other guys to help out. And today was a clear example. The Red Sox had a great, thrilling 8-1 win. It was actually pretty close overall. It was 2-1 in the game in the 7th inning. The Twins had a chance to either take the lead or tie the game in the 7th inning. And the Red Sox, Ryan Brazier, struck the Twins batter out in the 7th. And then the Red Sox tacked on 6 runs in the 8th inning. Trevor Story looks like he's starting to hit the ball a bit better after kind of a quiet start to the season. And then, you look kind of around our division. The Yankees, lost 2 out of 3 of the Orioles. Crazy for me to see. Great to see for that. But, I know the Yankees made a good club. The Blue Jays just played Isaiah's A's. Isaiah definitely have been pretty surprised so far, the A's, with their play this season. But hey, good for them. Even if the team is not going to be crazy good this year, I don't even know many A's fans feel like they're going to be a rooting interest at all. So the fact is, like, they're in these games. They're playing very good teams too, which they've been kept within. That says a lot. And, I don't know how much it's going to be like that throughout the season. But, I mean, you could definitely for sure kind of stay engaged with that, at least to start the season. So, but for this week, the Red Sox have a pretty tough schedule. They have Toronto at home, and then they have Tampa Bay. So those are 2 essentially powerhouse teams in our division. And then we have to go to Toronto next week after this week. So we're going to see a lot of Blue Jays coming up. Of course, they played the Yankees this past week. They split that series. So the way that I see this Red Sox team right now, it could be a lot worse. It could be better. But they're staying within reach. I think that this team, the pitching staff, I just think Todd kind of has to tread water before Sale and Paxton come back. Houck definitely has some promise. I like Matt Strahm, who they picked up. He's a lefty. We have a lot of good lefties. Josh Taylor's going to be coming back. He's a very good lefty in our pen. Jake Diekman, we also picked up from Isaiah's A's, who I actually really like because Garrett Whitlock can't close every game. And Diekman was in a big spot today and 2-1, and he went boom, 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 1, 2, 3. I think Correa he had a great strikeout on. So, I personally think that this team has promise. But obviously there's a long way to go. There's still a lot of flaws with this team, but can't really complain right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then George Delatare also wants to know did you all talk about the Dodgers already? We did. I already gave my analysis on that, and also he wants to know the thoughts on the Mike Trout injury. I'm glad that it was not that serious because I think the Angels got a break with Mike Trout avoiding a serious hand injury. I'm going to hand it to the panel here, and Isaiah, I'll start with you. What's your thoughts on the Trout injury here? And George, I did talk about the Dodgers already.
When I first saw it, right, it looked very similar to Mickey Moniak's injury, and we saw what happened with him getting a hand fracture the day before the start of the season, and him being out for like 6 weeks because of it. And for Mike Trout, right now the reports say it's day to day. It looks like he avoided serious injury, but we're not going to know until probably tomorrow or the next day, since these hand injuries, there could be a little fracture, a hairline fracture that you just don't know about. And if it's like a little small fracture that they can't detect on the initial x-ray, and then the next day they go in, they see it, then you're screwed. So we're just gonna have to wait to see what happens either tomorrow or the very next day, because those are the two most important x-rays, not the one today. And it's also very important to see and know if Trout is experiencing any swelling tomorrow morning, because if he is, then that's probably a bad sign that there is probably a hairline fracture. So if you're an Angels fan, you should be praying to God right now that that Mike Trout doesn't have any swelling tomorrow morning, and the X-rays tomorrow or the very next day, they reveal that it's just a bruise or something less significant than a fracture. So Angel fans better be crossing their fingers, because if Trout is out for like the time Moniak is out, then it's a big blow to them, because you need Mike Trout, because he's one of the best players in all of baseball. And if he's out for a month or two, then you can basically just kiss your hopes of winning the AL West goodbye.
And what about you, Ben? What's your thoughts on the Mike Trout injury here? Obviously, luckily today he avoided a serious injury based on the X-ray results I heard.
Yeah, I didn't see the injury per se. Was watching other stuff, but I heard about it, and preferably for me, you never want to see guys ever get hurt, especially for arguably the best player of our generation, Mike Trout, who's been having injury problems in the last several years. So it just sucks to, see him kind of just having the same type of, feeling, I guess you can say, in a way. But hey, I'm really glad to see Mike Trout back. I did read that I think that his X-rays came back negative. And it was kind of from several tweets and stuff. So, but I agree with Isaiah. Things like that. If there's any type of swelling or things happen, if the day after an injury like that happens, you just kind of have to make sure you're hoping for the best. And James Gonzalez, if you're listening in, I cross my fingers, my man. But hopefully it'll be okay. And just for baseball fans, including us, just you never want to see any type of player get hurt, but specifically a guy like Mike Trout, to stay out healthy and play out there in the field. Him and Ohtani are two of my favorite players, without a doubt. So.
Yeah, you're right about that. And also, George wants to know the thoughts on the universal DH. I'll go first on this. I love it. I'm a big fan of it. I was tired of seeing the pitchers hitting, and I just think that universal DH really makes it more entertaining for the game of baseball, more offense, and the pitchers get to do their thing. I think that's a good thing. That way, pitchers don't have to bunt every time. I think that it was good to see pitchers hit, but I just felt like that a universal DH is just good for this game of baseball. And I think it makes it more fun and entertaining in that aspect of the game of baseball. And I'll go start with you, Ben, on this. What's your thoughts on the universal DH?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously come from a team that's American League heavy. So unless it's interleague matchup, I don't watch a whole lot of National League baseball. I know it sounds bad because I'm a baseball fanatic, fan thick and through. So I feel like I probably should watch more National League baseball. But preferably at least kind of looking at the big picture. I like it. I like that you don't have to have pitchers out there and trying to bat, and there's a couple batters that can hit, like a Madison Bumgarner type, but relatively most of the batters that are pitchers about 95, 96% of the time don't even swing the bat. They just literally look at the pitches down the middle of the plate, and they're majority of the time just strikeouts. So it's literally a waste of that bat. It's a waste of essentially a guy that if he gets on base to just run using a jacket or something, you could, I knew from firsthand, seeing a pitcher that was on my team when they played the Dodgers, actually, Laura. His name was Stephen Wright, knuckleballer. And I think he got hurt and was out, I think, for the majority of the rest of the season after the injury happened, just because he was running out there on the bases. I'm like, this is like, the pitcher's goal is to focus on doing their job on the mound. Their job is not to focus on getting in the batter's box and trying to track pitches and all that. So I personally love the universal DH, and I hope it stays for sure because it just makes the game a lot better to me personally.
I just think the universal DH to me is good for the game long term. What about you, Isaiah? What's your thoughts on it so far?
I understand Ben's point as to why, you guys like it because the pitchers don't swing the bat, and I get it. But for me, I grew up watching the Phillies from '08 all the way down, and also the 2010 to 2015 San Francisco Giants. And I'm like a big fan of small ball, and I'm a big fan of like the pitcher being in there. Yeah, he might not swing the bat, but on occasions he's gonna drop down a bunt or he's gonna be able to move the runners over, and that's like the kind of baseball that I'm used to and I like to watch because the chess match is there, and also teams aren't always gunning for the home run. But in this day and age, even though I don't like it, it's kind of like a rule that you have to have, just because like Ben said, you don't want the pitcher to get hurt. And in this day and age, it's just home run or strikeout in this day and age of baseball. So, me personally, I'm not a big fan of it, just because I want baseball to shift back to like moving runners over if there's runners at first and second with nobody out, or dropping down a bunt if there's a runner at second, moving him to third, and just doing the little things. But I mean, I know that baseball probably will not go back to that era anymore, just because people and fans honestly just want to see home run or strikeout at this point, because it's more exciting to the game. So I think for baseball's sake, it's here to stay, and it's good that it creates a lot of jobs for veteran hitters like a Nelson Cruz, who before he actually did not have that many opportunities, and he was limited to only the AL.
And what about you, Ben? What is your thought? So, anyways, with that being said, now let's move on to our next topic here, and we'll talk about our game segment as the Baltimore Orioles defeat the New York Yankees 5-0. The Yankees have lost another series to the Baltimore Orioles. And my thoughts on this, like, losing to the Orioles, really? You got to be kidding me. New York Yankees, you got to be ashamed of yourself. You should just slap yourself in the face for this, because losing to the Orioles is like losing to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Come on, Yankees. You know better than that. You got to beat it. You got to beat the team that you're supposed to be beating in order to compete in this tough American League East. I'm going to start with Ben on this. What's your thoughts on the New York Yankees losing a series to the Orioles? I bet you're happy as a Red Sox fan that they did, but come on now. It's the Orioles.
Well, yeah, you hit it right in the nail on the head, Laura. I am very happy. But it's early, right? The Yankees, obviously, they beat the Red Sox the first series of the series. Obviously, all the fans felt like this team was made for destiny. And then, the next weekend happens. They lose a 2-3 series to the Orioles, and their fans go like, the sky's falling. So what is it, right? That's why game of baseball is crazy. It's crazy and it runs. And the Orioles, they just seem to really have the Yankees number. And they've had the Yankees number last year. They just played them extremely tough, pitching wise, hitting wise. And I don't know, the Yankees always seem to have problems just getting timely hits, right? This was a lineup that I saw last year that's very talented with a lot of good superstars, but it's also the small ball, right? And that's what I love about the Red Sox team is, they have a bunch of guys in their lineup that can put the ball in play with guys on base, right? And the Yankees are a homer or bust type of offense, right? They've been that for several years. And, Aaron Boone has made it abundantly clear for many years now that the AL East gap, in terms of for them to get to where they want to be, is to get to the top. And him and Cashman have essentially been failing them for many, many seasons. So their fans obviously should be upset You know, if I was feeling like as a Yankee fan, losing 2 out of 3 to the Orioles, and the Yankees were pretty lifeless in that Saturday game. If it wasn't for like a hailstorm, you know, they got a couple of runs after that and they won the game. But you know, their pitching's great. You know, they as painful as it means to say as a Red Sox fan, they have a lot of good pitching on their team. It's just their offense is dreadful right now, and just you know, they have a lot of holes really in their lineup. You know, if guys aren't consistent, guys like Gleyber Torres, for instance, though, right? Gleyber Torres could have been moved. You know, he definitely is not the same guy he used to be. DJ LeMahieu's been okay, but you know he can't play every day because they try to find a place for him. And then you have Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo's obviously cooled out this week after kind of a torrid week against us. Stanton, Judge hasn't really had a great start to the season. Maybe there's contract situations in his head right now. So I don't know. I mean, the Yankees, I think, personally fine coming from a Red Sox fan myself. But if you're a Yankee fan, you know, the Orioles really are a team that you've got to take advantage of because you see the other teams in our division, and no other team really in our division is an easy out at all, right? You know, so you got to really pounce on the Orioles, and statistics shown that if you have a very good record during the season against the Baltimore Orioles, studies have proven to show at least the last couple seasons that your team is likely to win the division. And so the Yankees last year, they didn't win the division and they lost, I think, 7 or 8 games to the Orioles. And so, you know, now they lost two. They lost 2 out of 3 games in a series early April. You know, people say April baseball doesn't really matter, which for the most part it doesn't, but it's baseball at the end. You gotta play, you gotta play. And um I don't know, man. It's great to see for sure, but something's up really with that organization. It's not just this weekend, it's just been as a whole for the last several years.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think that the Yankees just need to get better here. They need to play better than this. And what about you, Isaiah? What's your thoughts on the Yankees losing to this series to the Orioles? I said that it's the Orioles. Really? Come on.
I agree with you, Laurel. The Yankees should be ashamed of themselves losing to the Baltimore Orioles. The Baltimore Orioles, they didn't have John Means for this series as he's probably going to have to undergo Tommy John surgery, which is very unfortunate for him because he's a terrific pitcher when healthy. But the Yankees, you look at their talent, Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Gleyber Torres, and all the guys that they have, Josh Donaldson, not to forget him. But this Yankee team is much talented than the Orioles, and they have a higher payroll than the Baltimore Orioles. And for some reason, the Yankees just keep losing series after series to the Baltimore Orioles. Like, I really don't understand why that's the case. I'm trying to figure that out myself as to why my Phillies keep losing series after series to the Miami Marlins, which just makes no sense whatsoever. But the Yankees, they should be ashamed of themselves. They're 5-5. They shouldn't be 5-5 right now with the talent that they have, the payroll that they have. It just shows that this Yankee team, like Ben said, they have a lot of flaws. They didn't go out and get a star shortstop, which they should have. Their bullpen is kind of leaking right now. Aroldis Chapman, I think the other night, he walked in a run with the bases loaded to basically give the Orioles the game. He's not that dependable closer that you can rely on a game-to-game basis anymore because he's gotten older. His stuff is just not what it used to be. And for the Yankees, Judge, he's kind of slumping. The other guys are slumping. It just seems like what can go wrong is just going wrong for the Yankees, and they need to get that fixed as well because they're like the Phillies in terms of the way that the Phillies are in a really tough division. You cannot afford to slip a lot of ground before you dig yourself too big of a hole, which you can't get out of. So the Yankees, they want to compete in that division in the AL, which is a very, very tough league right now. They absolutely have to steady that ship before the AL East and the AL gets away from them.
Yeah, you're right about that. They have to find a way to get their series back on track here. So anyways, with that being said here, folks, now we'll talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates beating the Washington Nationals 5-3, and they're over 500. Is that a shock to everybody? It kind of is, but Pittsburgh is still Pittsburgh, and I think that the Pirates are definitely gonna be fading here. So, anyways, I'll go with Isaiah first on this. What's your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Pirates beating the Nationals 5-3?
It's a great story, to be honest, to start this season. You know, I know the Pirates are probably gonna fade once it gets to like the end of the first month or two of the season. They're not gonna be above 500. I can guarantee you that. But it's a good story because right now, Pittsburgh before the season, they were like the A's. They were projected to lose at least 100 plus games. And for them to be competitive just shows you why we really love baseball. And that is, you know, baseball is just so unpredictable. You know, you can pencil in your projections before the season, but it's not going to mean anything. It's probably going to be all wrong because for baseball, you might have the best talent, but talent just only gets you so far. So I love what the Pirates are doing, and you know they got a really good young team that is ahead of them or is ahead of schedule. Keith Brian Hayes is a great player. Reynolds is a good player. I thought he was going to be traded, honestly, but I'm surprised he's still there. But it's really cool to see the Pittsburgh Pirates sitting there at above 500 right now after the first couple of weeks of the season. But, you know, I think we should hold off on the Pirates World Series parade because right now the Pittsburgh Pirates have played a lot of bad teams right now, like the Nationals that they played today. And I'm forgetting off the top of my head who they played last week, but it's still early in the season, but it's still a really cool feat just to see the Pirates being above 500 at this point.
What about you, Ben? What's your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Pirates beating the Washington Nationals? They're off to a good start, but this is a team that's kind of a pretender here.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say pretender. As great as a story it's been so far, this is obviously a team that is still far ways away from getting to a end goal, and that's contention. Just because they're in a very tough division between the Brewers, between the Cardinals. Isaiah, you're correct. They play a lot of kind of mediocre to not so great teams. They play the Cardinals the first weekend and they lost 2-3, so that kind of shows you in terms of really kind of who they are. They split the Cubs series, and then they took 3-4 from the Nationals, which personally for me, I don't really think that says a lot really to in terms of them getting to be where they are right now in their record. I mean, it's a cool story. 5-4. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that after the first 9 games for them, but you know, coming up, they had Milwaukee a couple times, they had San Diego a couple times. They do have the Cubs in a little bit, but the thing about the Pirates that I do like is their youth. You know, Keith Brian Hayes, you extend him. Brian Reynolds staying there is great too for baseball because, you know, for a lot of young teams, a lot of not great teams that you're not expecting, you know, at least to have their fans to be kind of watching and stuff like that. Reynolds is a great piece there. So yeah, I personally think that it's just kind of a fun little mini story per se, but it's not going to mean anything by the time's end. Even by probably the end of this month, we'll probably go back to the first 9 games. Oh yeah, the Pirates, they're 5-4 now, but they are. I don't know. But yeah, you know, good for them, but it's not going to last and kind of get to where they want to be for the rest of the run. And Isaiah, pump the brakes in terms of World Series or anything in Pittsburgh. It's not even the brakes. It's just, you know, just wait until they start going down. Because as painful as it for Pirate fans to say, you know, they just don't have enough talent. Just the bottom line.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think that they have the talent to do so, but we'll have to see how that goes here. But anyways, with that being said here, the San Francisco Giants defeated the Cleveland Guardians 8-1 to complete the 3-game sweep of the Cleveland Guardians here. My thoughts on this here is that I think that the Giants and the Dodgers, I think this is like last season. I think that the Giants and the Dodgers are going to be going toe-to-toe in the National League West. I thought the Giants were going to take a step back to begin the season, but They're off to a 7-2 start, just like the Dodgers. They're both playing great baseball to begin the season, and I think that both teams are going to be neck and neck for that NL West crown. And I think that the Dodgers, I think their depth-wise, I think their roster is better than the Giants. But I just think that Gabe Kapler's done a really magnificent job with how he's constructed the Giants roster here. I'll start with Isaiah in this. You're a Bay Area native, and also give me your thoughts on the Giants beating the Cleveland Guardians, and they swept them. And you know that the NLS is going to come down to at least 3 teams, but I think the cream of the crop is the Giants and the Dodgers.
Well, I got like 3 takeaways from this game in this series. First of all, it was a no-brainer that the Giants won this series, much less swept the Indians, because the Giants, I feel like, are the better team, way better team than the Indians or the Guardians. The Guardians right now, they're just stuck like in the middle. They have too much talent to rebuild, but they don't have that much talent to actually compete for the American League Central title, and they don't really have enough talent to go to, if they get a wild card spot, they don't have enough talent to go far in the playoffs. So they're kind of stuck in that middle area where you just don't want to be if you're any franchise in Major League Baseball. Sadly, and it's going to be really hard for me to say this, and Ben, you probably would cringe at what I'm about to say, and that is, I think for Terry Francona, I think it's time for him to hang up the managerial papers and either move to the front office or just retire, because, I mean, this guy is a magnificent manager, don't get me wrong, but right now you're just managing a ball club that's kind of just stuck in the middle. The Indians have been stuck in the middle for like the past couple of years, and Francona's had health issues. It's like heart issues and other issues like that, and he's getting up there in age. So how much longer does Terry Francona really want to manage at this point? I know he loves Cleveland. I believe his dad played in Cleveland, so that makes it even more special. But there comes a time where it's just time to hang it up. And I think that for Francona and for his health's sake and his family, it might be the time to hang it up, just because, you're up there in age, and, baseball, managing a team in baseball, it creates a lot of stress, and that puts a lot of stress on your health or on your heart. And that's why I think he's having those issues. And also, the last takeaway I have from this game is that I'm really surprised about the Giants pitching, because the Giants right now, I believe, lead the league in starting pitchers going long into baseball games. And I'm really surprised, because that was the area that I thought was going to be the weakness of the Giants. Yes, you have Logan Webb, who's outstanding, but how about the other pieces of the rotation? Alex Wood, he's been like inconsistent throughout his career. He's had highs and a lot of lows. And then you look at guys like Rodon. He only got like one really good year under his belt. I thought that he was definitely gonna take a step back and go back to his regular normal self. And then you have the other guys in the rotation where you're just like, okay, these guys, you're banking on them taking that step back because they've had that one great year, and typically they would take that step back, but they haven't. So that's what's really surprising to me, is the fact that their starting pitching specifically, has stood up in the wake of the season started.
And Ben, obviously, a lot of people are thinking that the Giants would take a step back, but they've really have taken a step forward here if you look at it, though. And what is your thoughts on the Giants defeating the Cleveland Guardians here? And they swept the 3-game series, which was very impressive.
Yeah, that's a good series win for the Giants over the Guardians. I think that personally, the Giants are a very good ball club. They're going to be for a lot of the season. They're going to be right there with the Dodgers. Joey Bart's had a very good rookie season so far. Brandon Crawford, obviously they don't pose anymore, but they have belts. But their pitching's great. You got Rodon that came in, great pitcher. Logan Webb's been an absolute machine. He was great last year. DeSclafani was a great piece last year. So and then trying to remember the other guy. They did somebody else, but yeah, the Giants have a good ball club. Good manager in Kapler, and they have a big series this week against the Mets. Two very good pitching staffs, two decent lineups, so it should be a really fun series. And it's a 4-game series too, so we'll kind of see. It's kind of a really fun, very fun, exciting matchups. To look for this week is that matchup. So the Guardians, on the other case, as much as I love Tito and Terry Francona, personally, I don't necessarily disagree as probably as much as he's thinking, just because the Guardians have been kind of average the last several years, right? And Tito has had his health issues. Personally, I think maybe they need a new voice to kind of get a lot of these young guys, moving forward with their organization. Yes, I do know that they added Jose Ramirez back into their case, but I don't know. Cleveland, I thought personally for me, their pitching staff would have been decent, and I still think it could be, but their offense could be just kind of there, per se. And their bullpen, I think, outside Emmanuel Chase, could just be okay. So the Guardians, I think, personally are just kind of an average team overall. The way I kind of see it, with very good pitching, but it's going to be hard for them to kind of match up with kind of like the big boys, I guess you could say, with like the other big time teams. Whether it's the Yankees, Sox, a lot of the AL East teams, even the White Sox in their own division, personally. So, good series weekend for the Giants, and for sure they're a team not to mess around with.
Anyways, back to our comment section. Casey King tunes in and says, as for the Pirates, it's early. Let's see what they do going forward, and knowing that they will end up dumping their good player like they do bulk of the time. And sad part, their owner's a billionaire, but is a cheapskate, and their ballpark is the best and beautiful, as it is my favorite, is my favorite one I've been to. But sad, they don't invest into them. That's how the Pittsburgh Pirates operate, and they always like to go way below the luxury tax threshold and not like to spend a lot of money. And Casey King also said, I'm not surprised about the Giants, and I predicted them to finish second in the National League West and get a wild card, and they're a good team. I'm sticking to it. Looking forward to these Dodgers and versus Giants games, and I'm planning to go to one of the Dodgers and Giants games in the Bay Area and sometime this year in June or July. Love going up there to cheer on the Dodgers. Those games are going to be great this season. I agree, Casey. You're in the same boat, and we think alike. So, anyways, the Mariners trounced the Houston Astros 7-2. I'm happy about that because I don't like the Astros. They're the cheaters. So, Isaiah, what is your thoughts on the Mariners trouncing the Houston Astros?
Well, I think that when you look at the series in general, the Mariners, I believe, won this series. It was a great opening punch for the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners, they have been a really young, talented team the last couple of years, especially last year. But the big hurdle in this division is not Oakland, it's not Texas, it's not the Angels, it's the Houston Astros. You have to beat the Houston Astros in order for you to win this division, and that's the team that you're going to have to take this division from. So for them, it was a great opening punch. They punched early and often in this series. The pitching for the Mariners was really good. Their offense is what I thought it was going to be, with the young guys in that starting lineup. And I think when you look at the Houston Astros, I just think the Houston Astros are in that point of their franchise where a lot of their their stars that were young before, they're getting older, and some of them are leaving for bigger contracts, and some of them are just just getting older. And also, I just don't trust their starting rotation and their pitching staff in general. have never liked their bullpen. Now Presley, who was their best reliever, he's on the injured list, so their bullpen takes another massive hit. It wasn't good already, and now it's getting worse. And then the starting rotation, besides Justin Verlander, who do you really have on that starting rotation that you can count on? I just don't see anybody else. Javier is he's inconsistent. He's up and down. Luis Garcia is up and down. There's just a lot of guys that are new and just up and down. And for the Astros, they have one great starting pitcher, and that's it. The other guys are just, you never know what you're going to get from them. So Houston needs help pitching wise if they want to stay in this race, because you could have the best offense all you want, but it's going to come down to pitching. It's going to come down to how well you pitch. And the Astros right now just don't have the pitching.
They don't have the pitching. You're right about that. And Ben, what is your takeaway on the Seattle Mariners beating the Houston Astros 7-2? I think that it tells you something. I think the Astros are going to be fine offensively, but I think the Seattle Mariners are going to be a fun Cinderella team.
Yeah, the Mariners I kind of had as my X Factor team going into the season, but they did a lot of that. What they did last year was they had a great couple of first months with Seattle being the Astros, and then, they kind of just fell off in the second half. Now, personally, I think as much as I thought at first, Houston feels like that they have a decent team. Pitching-wise on paper, Verlander's actually been very good coming off Tommy John, which I did not expect him to be as good as he is so far as right now. Their offense, Altuve has been very shaky so far. He'll probably get going soon. Kyle Tucker will probably get going soon. Bregman has been decent, but their bullpen, I think, is still very kind of it's up and down. You lose a huge piece in Kendall Graveman as an eighth inning guy. Ryan Presley is okay. He's not the same he used to be. So, the Mariners, I think, are going to be a very fun team. They actually just placed Mitch Haniger on the COVID list. Yeah, I know we're still talking about players and COVID. It's still crazy to think, but hopefully they'll be back soon. And then, so great first kind of gut punch for the Mariners to the Astros. And I agree with you, Laura. It's great obviously to see the Astros in the series. But hey, yeah, good job for the Mariners.
Yeah, talk about the Seattle Mariners being a Cinderella team, that's for sure here. Isaiah just left here. We are going to continue on without him, and let's see. And so anyways, with that being said here now, the Padres escaped the Braves on Sunday Night Baseball 2-1. The Padres, this is not the start that we expected. I kind of think that that with a healthy Tatis Jr., this is a team that you should be watching out for.
Yeah, the Padres are 6-5. But yeah, their lineup for sure is not the same. Yes, they do have guys like Machado, Cronenworth. Will Myers is okay, nothing special. But for Kellen's Padres, they should be okay. Their pitching staff, their starting staff, you look at it, Blake Snell is very good. But, I look at other guys, Manaea has been okay since coming in. So they have some pieces there. Their bullpen's okay. But this should be a very fun club. Bob Melvin's a very good manager. So, but yeah, you lose a big time bat in Tatis. I think that they for sure when he comes in, the narrative of kind of their slow start, they'll start getting a lot more wins consistently. And this would definitely be a team to watch come the summertime.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I think that the Padres are going to be good, but I think with the Braves, they're off to a slow start though. But I think that the Atlanta Braves are going to be I think that the Atlanta Braves will be fine. I think that this is just an early World Series hangover. When they get Acuna back, you better watch out for the Braves. If you play MLB The Show, you got to take Ronald Acuna off of AAA and see what it's like with a healthy Acuna, with a Matt Olson, or with Ozzy Albies. And my Dodgers get to play the Braves tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. I'm looking forward to calling that game, and I'm looking forward to seeing Freddie Freeman go up against his old team at Dodger Stadium. And I'm sure that he's going to be saying hello to Brian Snitker and some of his old Braves teammates. Looking forward to that matchup. I think it's going to be a lot of fun seeing Freddie Freeman go up against his old team. Casey King also says he thinks the Astros' downfall begins. Not necessarily, though, but let's see. I mean, I don't think it is, though. But anyways, let's talk about some of our top headlines here before we head to final thoughts and announcements here. Ronald Acuna Jr. was sent to AAA to continue his rehab assignment from his torn ACL that he suffered last season. That is very encouraging, and I'll tell you that this is a much better Braves team with Ronald Acuna in the lineup.
Yeah, man. The Braves are onto a kind of a slow start so far. They're 5-6, but this is for sure. I'm still picking them as my favorites on the East, on the NL. I think that when they get going, they're going to for sure be a very fun squad. Swanson, Albies, Olson, Austin Riley, Eddie Rosario, and then you get Ronald Acuna back. So their lineup should be extremely deep. When you have Acuna back too, it adds a whole lot to your offense, whether it's power, whether it's defense, whether it's stolen bases. The guy essentially is a great, special, unreal talent up there with the Vladdy, Shohei type of squad, Tatis. So, yeah, I mean, but they have to kind of see how the Braves pitching is, right? I like some of their pieces, Soroka, Anderson, but we'll kind of see. We'll have to see in terms of it's very hard to repeat as World Series champions. And so, I do feel like they're going to take a step back this season, but I do feel like they're still going to be within the mix, despite losing Freeman, and I think I still have them in the division. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, with that being said, here now let's talk about the Yankees dropped another series as they lost 2 out of 3 to the Orioles after losing 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays early in the week. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, Joe Girardi's seat continues to get hotter as the Phillies lost 2 out of 3 to the Mets and also got drubbed all weekend long and lost 3 out of 4 to the Marlins. Whose seat is hotter, Joe Girardi or Aaron Boone? I'm not going to say Joe Girardi's seat is hotter. I'm actually going to pick Aaron Boone. I think his seat's much hotter than Joe Girardi because I think Aaron Boone right now is managing for his job.
Well, yeah, I mean, I personally think right now it's Girardi. Personally, even though you can call me crazy, I don't think Boone is a very good manager. Kind of the second half of the time, but the Yankees' offense, Lauro, I mean, you can't blame this all on Aaron Boone. You could blame him for putting up the lineup cards here and that, yes, but you can't blame him for essentially having a great starting lineup for the most part with Donaldson, Rizzo, Judge, Stanton. And you can't muster a lot of runs against a very subpar and mediocre pitching staff in the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, I can't even name one really decent pitcher outside of John Means, who was out all weekend, that I can go and say, listen, give me the ball for that certain day, right? So, I don't know. Personally, for me, I think Joe Girardi, just because both teams have high expectations, right? So, but I think the Yankees, their consistency and mediocrity, for a big market like New York, just can't. Their fans, a lot of their ownership, they won't be able to take it anymore. And so personally, I think that Girardi probably should be the first one to probably go, but I don't really know. It could really go either way. Boone for sure, because I watch a lot of the Yankees just because they play all the time in my area. They're always on. So probably Boone just because he's kind of felt like a lot of heat and pressure lately that he probably should deserve.
Yeah, and then also Casey King also says Joe Girardi will make it through the year, but after the season, I think he could be out of Philly here. So And Casey King also says that Aaron Boone should be filed soon. And Isaiah, you're back here. Who do you think is more on the hot seat, Joe Girardi or Aaron Boone? Now that you're joining us, I thought that your boss is coming out,
Well, it's coming in a couple minutes, and I just wanted to hop on for this topic. That's why I'm outside waiting for the bus. But when I look at this question, I really think it's going to be Boone because I don't think Boone has accomplished really anything. This Yankee team, before Boone came and took over, they went to the ALCS and they lost in 7 games. And Boone pretty much has just took this team and just completely guided it backwards. And he hasn't really done anything. Girardi, even though he doesn't have any years left on his deal after this year, and he's kind of a lame duck, he's a very respected manager, and he's a guy that I could see getting one more year in Philadelphia, depending on what the Phillies do. If the Phillies make the playoffs, I think definitely he's definitely gonna get an extension if they make the playoffs, because they hadn't made the playoffs in like 10 years. But if Girardi, let's say, misses it by a game, and it's a really, really close race, then I could still see them giving him a 1-year extension, but he's going to be on a really, really hot seat next season.
Absolutely. So anyways, with that being said, the Twins place Sonny Gray on the 10-day injured list with a hamstring injury, and the Blue Jays also placed Hyun-Jin Ryu on the 10-day injured list with forearm inflammation. Which injury is a bigger blow, Sony or Ryu? I can't say who I think the injury is bigger, but I'm probably going to say it's both.
Yeah, I mean, the Twins really can't afford to lose a lot of big time, arms really in their rotation. I'm not saying the Jays can't, but the Jays have a lot of good arms in their rotation, between Gausman, Manoah, Berrios. So Ryu definitely adds a great punch to their rotation. I'm not sure personally now if he's going to be pitching against the Red Sox this week. Kind of just bear with me really quickly here, and just kind of curious to see who the Red Sox will be facing this week when they take on the Blue Jays. ESPN has probable pitchers typically throughout the week. So they currently lined up with Kikuchi, Berrios, and Gausman. So they looks like they don't have to face Ryu. Ryu actually pitches pretty good against the Red Sox for the most part. So that might not be a horrible thing. But hopefully that they both come back strong. I did see the Gray injury. He threw off the mound during a pitch at Fenway. His Fenway Park continues to struggle. He's always had problems there. Despite actually one start that I did see live when he was playing for Isaiah's Oakland A's, and pitched a very good game in that game. But relatively doesn't pitch that great at Fenway. And this game, he only went an inning to an inning and a half or something. In the second inning, he threw a pitch and he felt something pop up in his hammy. The trainers came out and they sent him off the field, and he probably made the best decision. But I think it's both. I mean, I don't really see which team impacts more than the other. You can kind of argue both ways.
Yeah, you definitely can. That's for sure here. But also, history in the making here as Albert Pujols launches career homer 681 in the Cardinals game versus the Brewers. He's now 19 homers away from the magical 700. Anyways, with that being said, what is your thoughts on that? I mean, Albert Pujols, I think he's going to hit 700 by May.
Yeah, this would be a milestone personally. I think many baseball fans should be excited to see. I think it's going to happen this season. Personally, I think it could happen by the summertime. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten myself to watch many Cardinals games this season, but I hope to watch them soon just because I have MLB TV, and hopefully, I get to watch a lot of the out-of-market type of games. So if I get a chance to kind of sit down, maybe if the Red Sox already played or the Cardinals on the West Coast or something like that, get the chance to kind of watch a couple innings, and see Albert Pujols play, and essentially in a jersey that he's played in for the majority of his career to kind of start off, and to kind of see this kind of be his last season, to do it in a place where he essentially called home for a long period of time, I think just feels right. And for him to get a couple home runs in the last couple games here, that's also great to see, right? So, he tied a huge game today against the Brewers. I'm not sure how that game ended. I'm not sure who essentially won. I think it might have been the Cardinals, if I'm staying corrected, but I'm not sure. But all in all, it's still really good to see.
Anyways, with that being said here, hope everybody has had a great show. Hope everyone enjoyed the show here. But anyways, it's time for some final thoughts and announcements. Batter Up will be on Thursday instead. We'll tell you the time and all that after the show, Ben. I'll tell you about that when we get off the air. And next Sunday will be the Extra Points special with the 2022 NFL Draft coming up next Thursday already. So be sure to tune in for that as well. And Ben, be ready for your mock draft next Sunday here. We're ready. Are you ready to kind of make an outline on who's going where and all that? Because I can't wait to make my mock draft.
Well, April's kind of a crazy month, man, right? March for me is my favorite month, but April, there's a whole lot going on between my teams right now. The Bruins, the Celtics in the playoffs, the Red Sox obviously in their season. It's almost like you forget the NFL draft's kind of around the corner too. So by that time, hopefully I get something. Don't bank on anything for me for next week, but I have a pretty good idea a lot of the first round talents that a lot of these players have going to specific teams. I'm not sure, but yeah, looking forward to having that. But all in all, tonight's show was a lot of fun. Hopefully for those that joined, I'm not sure how many, but I said before the program, hope you all had a good holiday. For me, it's not Easter or Passover anymore in my area on the Eastern Coast. It is now Monday, Marathon Day for all the Bostonians out there to all celebrate, enjoy the day. But for me personally, just another day, another day of work, and another good week ahead, hopefully. So hopefully have a good rest of your week, Lauro. And that was obviously news to me with the play ball being on Thursday. I did forget about the draft special show for this Sunday, so I do appreciate you letting me know personally. But yeah, looking forward to a very good week. Hope you have a great week yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, Ben, I'll see you on Thursday for Batter Up, and then This Week in Baseball this week as well. Be sure to tune in.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
So for Isaiah, Ben, Lauro, signing off for now. Have a great night. We'll see you again on Batter Up on Thursday. Here is what we leave you with.
All right, man. I'll see you later.